Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm here with Holden, better known as Bishop.
What's up, y'all?
And we're continuing our series called Life Hacks, and it's just a journey through the book of Proverbs, which is just a book, honestly, about wisdom. And so, but really, before we get started, just a random question.
All right.
Has nothing to do with wisdom, and maybe it does have something to do with wisdom. What are your top 3 favorite places to eat?
Ooh, number one would be, and nobody's probably gonna know what this is unless you've been to Panama City Beach in the summer.
Panama City Beach.
There's a place called Angelo's Steak Pit. It's literally only open in the summer.
Okay.
But like makes so much money, it only has to stay open during the summer because it's that good. I say that's number
What
one.
do you get at the steak pit?
13-ounce ribeye.
A steak. It
Every
makes
time.
sense.
Every
That's
time.
wise. That's wise.
Very wise.
It's like people go to steakhouses and order, like
salad.
salad. Like that's
No.
not wise.
No.
You know what I mean? Or going to a seafood restaurant and ordering a hamburger.
Yeah. That's
Or
not-
going to okay, I'll stop. So steak pit.
Yeah, it's number one. I would say Glory Bound is always a go-to.
What is it? $6 euros.
$6 euros every Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I get to work and my Google Maps says 11 minutes to Glory Bound, so it knows what I want to do.
You eat there every Tuesday?
I mean, not every Tuesday, but probably more than I'd like
Okay.
to admit. And then the third one, man, I can always go for some burn ends at Murky Waters.
Murky Waters.
Some
burn
Murky
ends.
Waters. I can always go for some Murky
You're
Waters.
speaking Nicole's language.
I mean, that's
She
my
loves the
language.
burn ends. Yeah. All right.
best.
So I think that is wise. I think all of those are good places to eat.
Thank you.
It'd be wise if you went there. With that being said, we're having a conversation today about the power of words. Because believe it or not, I don't know that the riddle is correct that says sticks or stones may break my bones, but what?
Words will never hurt me.
That's probably not true.
Not true.
And so we've believed it. We've tried to believe it as a kid. And then all of a sudden we've wrestled with the fact that, man, that's not true because there's power in our words. And so why is it important to be cautious about what we say? Like what's the importance there?
Man, I think it's important because I think words last a long time. And I think we live in a day and age, especially like you guys as students, like the age that y'all are growing up in, like life happens so fast.
Yeah.
But there's 2 things that you can never get back in life, and that's time and words.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about time today, but like, I don't know, there's something about words that once they come out of your mouth, like you literally cannot put them back in. And I can definitely know and think about times in my life, things that people have said to me
Yeah.
that could have been 10, 15 years ago, but yet I still remember them because, once they come out, they're there and you can't really change it. And they can also last a really long time. And going back to the technology thing, like, especially again, in the generation that y'all are growing up in, like it may take a second to share something, even like half a second to post something. But I mean, if once the second you get it out there, it's just like words that actually come out of your mouth. Like it'll be there for a really long time. And so if it's going to be something that lasts a long time, that's coming from you, I think we would be wise to take some time to think about what you want that to say about you and the kind of legacy you want to leave behind with the words that you say.
That's really good because I don't know that everybody really thinks about that, words don't evaporate. Like they continue in. And I know just like you said, man, I can think back in my life, moments where someone spoke truth into my life. And today I'm better because of it.
Yeah.
But then I also can think back in moments in my life where someone has just destroyed me by words. And there's, low key, some scars in my life just by the words of something that someone said. So knowing that words kind of continue, what type of weight do they carry? You know what I mean? Like knowing that they don't just evaporate. You know what I mean? They just continue in time. Like, what is that? Like a wavelength? Maybe a bad example, but like what type of weight do they carry?
Man, this may sound weighty, but I promise you there's some encouragement in this. But like one thing that the book of Proverbs tells us is that, the weight that words carry is the weight of life and death. And I get that from 2 places in Proverbs that, we can talk about right now. And the first one is Proverbs 12:18, where it says, "The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." Or in other words, the words of the wise bring healing. And then in Proverbs 18:21, it says this. It says, "The tongue has the power of life and death. and those who love it will eat its fruits. Or in other words, our words have the power of life and death.
I love that.
And again, I know that sounds like weighty, and that sounds like a weight to carry, a challenge, a responsibility.
But it is.
It is. But there is some encouragement in that. Is that when I think of that, when I read that, and I know that my words really have the power to speak life. They have the power to bring hope and to bring the love of Jesus and the joy of Jesus into other people's lives. The way that I look at that in a way that may be helpful for you guys as you're leaning into this and beginning to wonder or think about how I can use my words to speak life to people is that, I'm not perfect. Like, you're not perfect with your words. I'm not perfect with mine. And the goal is never to be perfect. The reason is because we never can be perfect. That's the whole reason that we follow Jesus, is because Jesus was perfect for us. Yeah. He took the place for our sins. He died on the cross and brought us salvation so that our perfections, they could be forgiven in the eyes of God. Yeah. But so when I think about, using our words to speak life into other people, the way that I look at it is, each day I have an opportunity to just be a little more like Jesus. Each day I have an opportunity to speak a little more life into the lives of other people than I did yesterday. That's good. So I know that can sound heavy, life and death, like those are some really big words. Yeah. But ultimately, I don't want you to look at it as like this unattainable goal or this unachievable thing. Right. Because that's the last thing that I want it to be. What I want it to be is just, if each of us every day can wake up and think, how can I speak life a little bit more today than I did yesterday? I think that's a huge win, because if you do that every day for a year, like you're 365, by the end of the year, you're 365 times more likely to speak life than you were before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And I just love the thought that, our words have the power of life and death, in the sense of another way to kind of say that is man, like every day we have the opportunity to build someone up or tear them down. And just a quick question. In a world of social media in 2021, is speaking life just verbally, or is it also through social media, through that context?
Man, I think it can be through both. But the biggest challenge that I think that comes with social media is that it's a lot easier to speak life through a screen. It's a lot easier to speak life through just things we can share or things that we post. But I dare say the challenge behind that is that make sure that whatever kind of words you're speaking, whatever kind of life that you're giving through a screen, is also the lives that you're giving face to face.
That's so good, because how many times I would imagine that someone has commented on someone's picture, like, oh girl, whatever, all these little comments, emoji. The next day see them and not say nothing to them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's not consistency there. So I love that you brought that up. So what does it look like practically? Because I think this is the challenge. Every single day, like this generation, the movement, they're showing up to school, they're showing up to practice, they're showing up to all of these different things. They're going home every night. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So very practically, what does this look like to be able to use our words in such a way that build people up?
Gotcha. When you ask that question, the answer that comes to my mind may sound a little complicated, but just stick with me. I promise I will make it as clear as possible. And if you need to ask questions to make that just sound clear in any way, I'm all for it. But I think the first step in order to take a step in using our words to speak life into other people, I think first is just realize how we're using our words now. Find out where we are, because when I think about, anything in life and about growth or going somewhere, we really don't know how to get somewhere if we don't know where we are. Yeah. The moment you start a destination that you want to go to on your phone, on Google Maps or Apple Maps, whatever it's called.
Yeah. What's Google Maps?
I don't know. It's it's easy to say. But it starts where you are, right? It doesn't start, somewhere over there or, 50 minutes this way. It starts right where you are. So I think evaluating, how do I use my words now? Am I encouraging now? Am I uplifting now?
That's good.
Am I speaking words that, bring hope into people's lives now, or am I doing the opposite? And I think the second step is to if you're trying to go somewhere, I think the second step is to know where we want to go. And this may sound like the churchiest answer in the world, but it's something that I always try to go back to, is that, as a follower of Jesus, the person that we want to imitate the most is Jesus. Yeah. And, we have a great tool in the Bible and learning about Jesus. And so I think step number 2 is, having a model of a person that we want to talk like. And I think the third step is to, learn what Jesus talked like, learn what he said. And I think, and again, it's a little complicated, but, if we really want to get there, 3 simple questions to ask yourself, if I'm talking like Jesus.
Yeah.
3 things that I constantly see in the Bible that Jesus was all about was love, joy, and peace. Like over and over again, like you can even see it said, like those 3 often are together if they're said at all.
Yeah.
It's love, joy, and peace. And so, question number 1, like, do other people know they're loved by the words that I'm saying? Like, and that doesn't have to be complicated. That doesn't have to be churchy. That doesn't mean,
no, that's good.
It doesn't mean you have to go around telling people I love you all the time, even though that's great. But, I think some of the most ways that I feel loved is when people literally ask me, hey, how are you really doing?
Yeah.
And just take
because you feel noticed.
Exactly. Yeah. Like people are available just to me in that moment. And I think, that's a huge way to show love. So are people feeling or knowing that they're loved by the things that I'm saying?
That's good.
I think the second thing is, are my words bringing joy into the lives of other people? Because again, love, joy, and peace. If we're constantly hitting these 3 check marks with our words and like we're talking a lot like Jesus. And then question number 3 I would ask is, are my words that bring peace into people's lives? Like, are my words that bring peace into unstable situations? Like, are my words that bring peace into, situations that may not have any peace in it at all? But are my words things that, can bring a sense of calm into that and into people's lives? And I think if we're at least somewhat constantly asking ourselves those questions, like we're on the path to talking more like Jesus and using our words that, again, last for a really long time, and that carry the weight in life of life and death. I think if we're asking those and we're using those as best as we can to speak life.
Yeah, that's so good. And, the whole idea of using, this is deep. The whole idea of like using your words is you got to talk. Yeah, I told you it's deep. Like you got to speak up. And I think for so many folks, like, it's kind of tackling the fear, being willing to step out of your comfort zone and where you see a friend of yours or you see someone maybe not a friend and just having the courage to speak up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to speak up to be right. That's not the goal, but to speak up to encourage or to comfort or to spur or to speak peace, And so I think that's kind of like, I don't know, one of the things like as I was thinking through everything that you said, which was so good, was just like all of this ultimately comes around to, man, you got to have the courage to speak up.
Yeah.
And to encourage people and to love people. And so Bishop, man, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for the wisdom. We know where to eat. We know how to speak life into people. And thank y'all for tuning in our Life Hacks series.